Welcome, everyone, to the Chiefs Cheat Sheet. Darren Smith, along with Mr. Steve Walls. We are here live at Arrowhead Stadium. We are inside the press box where the Chiefs will be hosting the Washington Commanders in their opening, I guess you could say, opening home game for the preseason with about, 8 more to go nine more to go, actually, this upcoming season. I don't know. We lose count. But, Steve, welcome, of course. Last week we were in Chicago. This week and for next week as well, this Thursday coming up, we'll be back here at Arrowhead Stadium as the Chiefs prepare for the regular season with their last two preseason games. Today against the Washington Commanders, on Thursday night against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I think all eyes today will be on, no Chad Henne. And you're going to have Patrick Mahomes and company, the starters going down. I think once they score or at least get close, then they're going to be pulled first quarter.
So now I know you were at training camp, I believe, Thursday when they broke. Did Andy Reid say how he was going to to play, because again, last week you talked about having the starters, at least the quarterbacks, play the first, second, third, fourth, and of course, once Patrick went down and scored, he pulled him from the game. Did he give any idea on how long the starters will play?
Well, you know how Andy Reid is. He can say one thing 1 minute, and then come game time, everything changes. So, but he did say, that Patrick Mahomes and the starters will be playing first quarter, a little probably into the second quarter, and then there's going to be no Chad Henne today, and then the rest of the game will be left up to the two young guys.
Any particular reason? No, why no Henne?
No, he didn't say. He just said he wanted to see, what the young guys do, give them a little bit more playing time.
Obviously, when we look at what they did last week, they lost 19-14 against the Chicago Bears. Where did Andy Reid say this week that he was looking for improvements from week 1 to week 2?
Just don't make the same mistakes, especially with the younger guys. I mean, of course, you have the veterans who know that, but with the rookies and the new guys to the team, he just wants to make sure that everyone is knows their role and is doing exactly what they're supposed to do.
Obviously, good strong showings from some of the rookies on last week. George Karlaftis on the defense side of football.
Exciting from him.
Yeah. You and I, we were real high on Sky Moore. Sky Moore did well in his preseason debut. Any other standouts that you saw? I mean, we both know, but just from your point of view to the audience, who else stood out for you in last week's game?
I'm real high on Isaiah Pacheco, man.
I figured you'd say that.
I think with his confidence and his running style, his ability to catch the football out of the backfield, I think he's going to make a run at trying to not only make the team. Of course, we know Dave Tope said he's going to be doing kickoff returns, so I think he has a spot there. But as far as being the RB1, possibly RB2, I think he's going to slide his way into the conversation.
I'm going to tell you something. I was speaking with some people on the radio this week, and I said that the person to watch out for will be Isaiah Pacheco, and I'm pretty confident that before the season ends, he's going to be running back number 1.
Yeah, I think so. I really do, and that's no shade to Clyde.
It's just
I think this team, and I've been saying it for years, they need an every down back, and Clyde's not, to me, he's not an every down running back as far as just body type. Isaiah Pacheco is much bigger than he looks on camera.
Yes.
He gives me the Kareem Hunt vibes as far as body type goes. Now we haven't seen him in a real game as far as like a regular season game, so we don't know exactly what the talent is there as of yet. But I think he shows the capability of being able to do that.
Chris Jones, McCole Hardman this week. Slight injury bug, I think. McCole, they said it was a groin. I think Chris Jones, his back. Have they updated? I know they haven't in the press box yet, but have they updated on the status on whether or not they will play? Because I did read reports that they could possibly play in today's game. Do we know if they're going to play or not?
Just watching McCole in practice, the way that he went down, he missed a pass that he should have caught, and of course he went down. It's like, so I think he had to go through with that. Not saying that he wasn't hurt, but he
just
may have tweaked a little bit.
You know what? Let me just
milk it. You got to milk it. But I think he'll be fine.
Okay.
Chris Jones, he came out to stretch. And then ended up going back up the hill to the locker room. That was on Wednesday. So he hasn't, he didn't practice on Thursday as well. But he did come down with the military veterans, took pictures, did autographs, and he was walking fine. So it may be just back tightness. He probably, got it loosened up a little bit, massage here, and some treatment on other days. But I think he'll be fine as well.
We know that the Chiefs had a big signing this week. And when I mean big signing this week. Is there a particular player that you're looking for to make their debut in Chiefs preseason today?
No, I don't think so. I think they're gonna hold probably next week, possibly.
You know what I'm
But
talking about, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, just let our audience know who we're talking about.
You know what? I
But are you sure, or do you think they just haven't found a jersey that fits them just yet?
yeah, no, I think he's look, when you watch him in practice, they still have that ramp up period.
That is
And
true.
so
Yeah,
and so I'm not sure if
Carlos
he's
Dunlap didn't play last week because
yeah,
of that. Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's even able to suit up yet. Just not anything to do with the Chiefs, just
Yeah.
the NFL protocol.
Okay. Looking at that, Frank Clark. We got a chance to talk to him last week after the game.
Hmm.
Obviously he's excited about having us back in the locker room, but um, we get to see a little bit more extensive time for him today as a ramp up leading into the last preseason game this week, and of course the regular season. What are you expecting and looking to see from from Frank Clark?
You know what? I got to thinking about it. And I'm watching. I went back and watched the game last week. I, I'm a little concerned about Frank Clark, to be honest. To me, and watching him in practice and seeing Mahomes standing next to Patrick Mahomes is bigger than Frank Clark right now.
No,
As far as weight goes and as far as
I
body
mean,
mass, I
now
think
I did tell you.
May have gotten a little bit too small. And that's yet to be seen as far as if it works out for him. Now, just talking to him last week, like you said in the locker room post game, he did say he's back down to around where his college weight
I think he said about
playing.
240. I think he said he
Yeah.
dropped about 20 pounds.
So
Yeah,
yeah, he looks 225-ish to me. I could be
I
wrong,
told you that.
but he looks 225-ish. But I mean, his physical ability. He said that he hasn't lost any of his strength. So, we'll see. We'll see when he has to go up against those offensive linemen. He does look a lot faster. He does.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the that's one of the advantages and disadvantages actually to the weight loss. You just
Hmm.
don't want it to be so drastic
Yeah.
in that when you cut that type of weight. But again, the weight he cut, I think was more so fat because of the alcohol and stuff that he was
Yeah.
drinking, and he did, and because I thought that his arms were a little bit smaller
Yeah.
than what
Yeah.
which is why I always saw him in long sleeve shirts versus players at his
So Derek
position.
Thomas style. Derek Thomas used to wear the either was long sleeve shirt or the cut off gray.
Yeah. So, but look, other players, of course, the wide receivers, Marquez, Valdez, Scanlon, of course, Juju
Hmm.
Smith-Schuster. He didn't have a catch in last week's game, but he was still out there
Yeah.
amongst the team. And what are you looking for, with those two starters, and then as we shift to a Justin Watson and Sky Moore?
I think the concern with MVS Marquez Valdez Scantlin, he was his catching ability. Could he catch the ball? Could he, with Aaron Rodgers, could he now become a legit threat? Of course, he
Yeah.
was alongside Devontae Adams, who was the Green Bay Packers' number one target, and he didn't get a lot of targets. And when he did, he didn't make he didn't make do with what he was getting. And so I
Yeah.
think he's shown in camp at least this past week watching him, he was catching everything. The long balls that we saw in early on in preseason and in last week where he tried to dive and catch and didn't make it. He caught a lot of those passes in training camp this past week. So I think he'll be fine. Now Juju,
Juju's
I
been a
don't know.
beast.
He hasn't practiced this week. He had something going on with his knee. So I'm not sure where he is as far as that goes. Andy Reid didn't really kind of go into too much detail regarding that, but I think hopefully he's okay. But I don't think he'll be playing today.
I've had people ask me on social media, Twitter,
Hmm.
about some of the rookies, and again, we expect a lot of them, a lot from them, and based off of the Chiefs and the coaching staff and their expectations,
Yeah.
especially with how they insert them into the games, especially like they did in the first week. I mean, how much should fans believe that the Chiefs are going to rely on their rookies this upcoming season?
You better believe it. I think they will. It just when the sample size is small, but you had young guys that have come in and made things work. You've had, and I'm just looking at the defensive side of the ball. You've had Willie Gay, his first
Yeah,
year. He came in and was kind of thrown into the wolves, thrown into the
Nick
fire.
Bolton
You had
definitely.
Nick Bolton come in and just play right away. And I think the offense. Now moving to the offensive side of the ball, you had Creed Humphrey. You've had the other offensive
Trey
linemen
Smith, yeah.
slide in there and have been very capable of making things happen.
Mm.
So,
Now, obviously, when we look at things, Joshua Williams,
mhm,
we're expecting a lot. Obviously, Cook as well, Brian Cook in the defensive backfield. Trent McDuffie, of course, he had some, he had
right.
some good stuff this week in practice going up against Clyde. It was I think he took the ball out of his hands to try
Mhm.
to return it back. Look, we've spoken a lot about George, but we really haven't really spoken a lot about Trent McDuffie. I mean, what can Chiefs fans expect from him this
I
upcoming
tell you
season?
what not to expect. Don't expect him to be Marcus Peters. Don't expect him to be um, the guy that is going to be aggressive
Hmm.
as far as Marcus Peters was. As for his first year, couple of years as a Chief, I don't think he's that. I think it's going to be a little bit of a acclimation period for him to be able to pick up things. He's a lot smaller than Peters was. Um, as far as his aggressiveness, I haven't seen it. So, I think there's going to be a little bit of a
Wait and see period.
welcome to the NFL moment for him before he's, full swing.
It's interesting you say that because just based off of what we've seen, camp wise and some of the highlights that have been posted,
Hmm.
that's actually the strongest that I've heard from anyone. Not to say against him, but just but
Hmm.
just not like okay, what we see from Isaiah, we
Yeah.
got good expectation. What we see from George,
Yeah.
good expectation. What we see from some of these other young players. That's the first I've heard about Trent. Trent not really. I don't want to say he's not in your mind. You don't feel like he's standing out
I'm
or.
and I'm and I'm what I'm watching is his ability to guard MVS.
Hmm.
MVS is what 6'3",
Yeah.
can long arms, has range, and so every time he's been put on MVS in those corner to end zone situations, he's just not come out to be on top, right? So I don't see it from him, but we'll see.
Obviously, Derek Nottie, Mike Dana, they've been doing pretty good. The one linebacker that we have not talked about at all, Elijah Lee.
Hmm.
And I don't know much about him. I know they had him listed as a starter.
Yeah.
He out of all the starters, he's the one I just have not focused on give us an idea of his potential with this team.
First of all, Kansas City native. I've known him a long time, and not being biased or anything, but I think he's good for the locker room. I think he's that vet
Okay,
that you
hold on.
need.
First of all, you are biased Steve, because you're
No,
biased
no,
towards Drew Luck too. Drew
no,
Lock
well,
too.
no, I'm not.
Hold on.
I'm not as biased for
Okay,
towards
okay.
Elijah Lee, but I think he's a guy that will. Um, and Nick Bolton has already said it. He's a guy that's able to give direction a little bit out there. He knows what he's supposed to do. He's not a big name player, but he's a guy he's one of those hard nosed football players that you just need on your team. And to me, he's going to be an upgrade from the linebacking core minus Derek Johnson that you had last year. Um, and I'm talking a number. What was his number? 52
Hmm.
from last year. So I think he'll be fine. He'll slide in and know exactly what. And he's a special teams guy.
One of the things I'm really looking forward to, and kind of got this from last year, just seeing how when the Chiefs were having a new makeshift offensive line, they had to have a lot of reps.
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to see, obviously, when the first unit goes to the bench or whatever for the day, seeing how basically that right tackle position, because obviously from Brown down to Trey Smith,
Hmm.
they're going to play the majority. We expect Andrew Wiley, of course, unless something happens, to get majority of the snaps. But I'm looking forward to see what Darian Kennard does. I got a
Hmm.
chance to talk to him last week after the game, and so I mean he's a giant of a human being,
Yeah.
and it's just something about the way that the Chiefs and their coaching staffs are excellent, and I have to give him credit where credit's due, but especially when it comes to Andy Heck and that offensive line,
Yeah.
he coaches them up so well that it's generally you could damn near plug and play these players into any part of the offensive line, and you would not really see a drop in production. And that's what I like when I saw last week in Darren Kennard
Hmm.
in his first opportunity on the National Football League in a preseason game. Your thoughts?
I need to see more of him. I think
Oh well,
they
I'm
have
sure we
him.
will today.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think he's definitely not a tackle. He's gonna have to slide in, and play guard.
you don't think it's a tackle? Six
No,
five?
no, I
That's
don't.
what.
I think he's gonna have to play guard, man. I really
Mm.
do. Just and it may just be because he's trying to get his feet wet in the NFL, right? So I think that may be it. But To me, he's not a tackle. He's a guard.
6'5". I mean that's fine. I mean
Yeah,
I mean look, playing behind Joe Tooney and Trey Smith is not slender at all. So
right, right.
that's a good thing. But I'm still biased towards him towards the tackle side. But the one concern that I do have, and even though he may still make the team and he's on the injured list, is Lucas Niang. I
Hmm.
mean, his absence is it's kind of maddening. Again, I was on some shows this week and just talking about him. I mean, obviously, he missed a couple years ago, his rookie year, due to the COVID, and then came in and he started, I think, the first 12, 13 games before being injured, and I thought he was going to be healthy or get healed up in the off season. He's still on the PUP for preseason with the Chiefs. I don't know what his likelihood is of him playing in week number one, but I do have some concerns that with him being I think the Chiefs' first round or second round draft pick that they when they got him a couple years ago, that he's letting this opportunity pass him by. Not by not being able to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Then the Chiefs, of course, drafting Kennard because again they drafted him for the right side, whether it's
And
guard or tackle.
this is year
This
three
is
for
yeah,
him.
this is year number three. I mean,
Yeah.
this is not it's not a good look for somebody who was a starter. I mean, and generally the way that line was looking last year up
Hmm.
until his injury, I mean, they obviously started off kind of slow with a 3-4 record, but as they got more and more time and reps together out on the field, live action, I thought that they were one of the best offensive lines as you got towards the end of the season.
Hmm.
And, I'm just wondering, and I don't want to like say I'm picking on him out of anyone, but I'm just wondering if he's with this injury, if it's going to set him back far enough to where he might not make this team.
I mean, while you were talking, I just remembered. So his rookie year, he didn't play
Yeah, that's
because
what
of
I'm saying.
COVID.
Because of COVID, yeah,
And then, so last year was his
rookie year.
basically rookie year,
Yeah,
football wise, playing wise. And now this should be the year where you take that next step. So yeah, I think if he doesn't play, he's going to be set back a little bit. And it's easier for the Chiefs to call that one a dud more than they would could call Clyde Edwards-Helaire a dud, right? I think, that would be much easier than saying, and I'm by no means calling Clyde. I'm just making an example, but or comparison. But I think, he has to show some signs of something.
yeah.
And if he doesn't, he's not just going to be a guy that's going to be sitting on the bench. I think they can go get someone else for that.
That is true. Steve Walls, Darren Smith, we are live here with the pregame cheat sheet live at Arrowhead Stadium. We are inside the press box.
Hmm.
As you see, when we just look, just there, you get TV over the background. You got the stadium right here in our seats. Feel free to drop comments, questions. We'll get to them in just a moment. But of course, follow us on social media platforms at Steve Walls KC, at Darren Smith WHB. We'll be here all season long, regular season, preseason, postseason. Follow us all the way through Super Bowl 57. We're going to start the season in Phoenix, and that's the same place we're going to end.
Warm weather.
Well, hopefully the Chiefs will join us when we get there in February. But Steve, again, when we look at today's game, today's
Hmm.
matchup, Washington Commanders. I mean, there's so much to talk about as it relates to them.
Yep.
Head coached by Ron Rivera. They have a new quarterback this year.
Riverboat Ryan.
Riverboat Ryan got a new quarterback in Carson Wentz. Their best defensive player has not practiced at all this preseason because he's on a pup, and that's Chase Young. In this matchup against Kansas City today, what are you expecting, I would imagine, from the Washington football team and what they're going to try to do here at Arrowhead Stadium today?
I think it's just going to be simple. Is they want to see what they have as well. This is a team that is in the NFC North, or
No,
NFC
NFC
East.
East.
NFC East.
NFC
And,
East.
yeah, NFC East. You got the Cowboys, Eagles, and of course Washington, and was it Panthers?
Philly.
Philly. I said Eagles. Eagles, Cowboys,
New York
Commanders,
Giants.
and
New
New York
York
Giants.
football
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Giants.
So I think they're one of the teams that want to be in that hunt, right? And they haven't been able to get over the hill for the past few years. And so this is going to be a year where it's like, all right, you have a quarterback that's capable to take you there. You have some pieces around you, but you just got to put it all together. And so for them to be able to go out here and showcase and I feel like they still need a few pieces,
Well, think
but
about it.
they have
I
to just
mean,
show what they got.
obviously with a new quarterback, Carson Wentz, you do have some pieces there.
Yeah.
Obviously, you sign Terry McLaurin to a big
Hmm.
money deal for your wide receiver. You drafted a first round draft pick in Jahan Dotson, and of course you still have Curtis Samuel. So you have at least some offensive weapons to go with. Now Antonio
Yeah.
Gibson, running back. Again, how often in this league you don't really depend on the running back too
Right.
much
Right.
unless
Right.
you're the Dallas Cowboys and or Tennessee Titans. So, but the big question is going to be obviously their offensive line, whether or not that offensive line, obviously losing Trent Williams last year to San Francisco,
Yep.
whether or not they're going to be able to be at least half as good as they were when he was there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You got to be able to block your for your QB. That's number one. But not only that, it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball too, because I mean when you look at who they have, I mean they got Montez Sweat. He's a big name. Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, another guy who. Uh, Look, what is this gonna be? Year two for him, I think. Year
Who's
two.
that?
Yeah, you Chase Young.
No, this is like year number 4 for
Year
him.
four, year four.
He's
Okay,
been it
contract
for a
year.
minute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's what. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you got to figure out where it is that you need to plug and play, got different guys, and see what you got.
I think it's year number 3 because Baker was number 1
Yep.
overall.
Yep.
No, he was number 2. So when you look at this Kansas City Chiefs team, Orlando Brown. I don't even think we talked about him much last week. But how did you feel like he looked? Of course, with him not being in OTAs, mini camp, coming into training camp late. How do you think he looked in his first series with the Chiefs?
To be honest, I feel like we really haven't said much. Like you said, we really haven't said much, which is
Yeah.
which isn't a bad thing, right?
That's true.
It
That's
seems
true.
like
That's true. Because
he
if we were talking about him,
yeah.
that'd be talking, we'd have some
I
concerns.
mean, it seems to me he worked his tail off in the off season, was able to come right in and be a leader on that offensive line. And to me, that's something that you see as a positive. And remember, the Chiefs are kind of getting the I guess good end of that deal because you got to remember he's going to be betting on himself this year. So
Yeah.
you're going to get the best Orlando Brown that you can get, whether he,
Especially you got that
the bet.
Orlando Brown that want that big contract.
Yeah, yeah. So you're gonna get the best Orlando Brown you can get.
And look, you brought up a good point about the fact that maybe I brought up about not speaking much about it, but again, that's kind of like really the offensive line outside of the right tackle
Hmm.
position. Orlando Brown, Tooney, Creed Humphrey. I mean, that again, that group there is something that you really have to worry about
Hmm.
because of the amount of snaps and reps that they've gotten together. Obviously, you don't have to really worry about Patrick Mahomes. You don't have to worry about Travis Kelsey. There are, man, it's funny when you stop thinking about it. When you look at this offense, and this is one of the things that I like that Patrick talked about and kind of confirmed as we've said on our respective shows
Hmm.
since they traded Tyreek Hill, and that it's going to be tough for defenses to really plan and game up against them. And that was my biggest thing with them trading. Once we got over the initial shock of the Chiefs trading Tyreek, you sit back and you look, okay, you got X amount of draft picks this year and next year. Again, if Tyreek is here, I'm not sure you can bring in an MVS or a Juju and
You're stuck.
and use the draft haul to where you got a Sky Moore and granted he's not playing this year, but Justin Ross and Justin Watson. So
And at that point, though, you kind of you're stuck and where you're trying to bring in guys because you're gonna have to just go all young, and
yeah.
you don't actually know. You're gonna have to strike gold in the draft.
And one of the keys is, and I was telling somebody this morning on their Cleveland show, Garrett Bush, is that the Chiefs, gain addition by subtraction. Yeah, you lost Tyreek Hill and
Hmm.
people, again, getting over that initial shock, but the value in that trade and what in the signings, because as soon as we traded him, I think they brought in MVS and then
MVS, yeah.
brought in Juju, and then okay, things started, and then next we brought in Rojo, and then
Hmm.
they brought back Jerick McKinnon, they brought back Gore, and then they drafted Isaiah Pacheco, then they drafted Watson, they drafted Sky Moore, they signed Ross now, and then you start thinking like, wait a second now. Patrick's got a load of offensive weapons all of a sudden to
Yeah,
where now, again, to where now, if you're a defensive coordinator, again, you got to, how you going to game plan? Now, you can
you
always say,
can't.
you're going to double Travis. Okay, but essentially somebody's going to be wide open. So if
Exactly.
somebody's wide open, is it going to be envy? Because again, and this is the key. If you, with Tyreek, teams really didn't have to scheme differently because you just run the Tampa scheme up against them and make the Chiefs do the adjustments. Because what's going to happen? Tyreek's going to get frustrated because he can't run by you anymore. Now, if you're a
He
defense,
ain't getting past you.
yeah, and now the defense, you essentially can't. You got to come out with a base defense to see where the Chiefs are going to attack you at. Because
Hmm.
again, double up on Kelsey. I mean, MVS can beat you underneath. He can definitely beat you over the top. Juju has shown that he can blow past people,
Right.
and we already know what he is in the intermediate as a slot. And that's the other thing too in this offense, and what Juju talked about is that in this offense, unlike Pittsburgh, he's able to play in multiple and line up in multiple positions. So that gives him greater options. And as the receiver said, that they all have to learn everybody's position because you never know where you might line up at. So
Right.
again, that's the danger of this offense for a defense will have to go up against. And then, and that's also the beauty of it because if you're Indiana, I mean, you can put anybody at any place line up. And Pacheco, as a rookie running back, has shown that he can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, it really is going to be hard to see how you defend the Chiefs. And I will say this, though, it does add pressure. And people always say, well, Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't. No, it will put pressure on Patrick because it's gonna cause him for him to make sure he's accurate. Yeah, and that's one thing he's always talked about trying to be more accurate in the off season, coming into the season because with so many weapons, it's like if Patrick gets the ball there, it's gonna be up to the receiver, the running back, make sure they catch the ball.
Yeah.
And I think he's up for that challenge. Obviously, bringing the receivers and the running backs down there to Texas with him in the off season, I think is going to pay dividends when it's all said and done, kind of September 11th.
But and a guy you talked about, Ronald Jones. That's a guy that we hadn't talked about yet, and kind of want to spend some time on him
Sure.
because you is that's a guy that's coming in with experience, Super Bowl experience, won a ring, played with the Hall of Fame quarterback.
Got a little chip on the shoulder too.
And does. And so I'm wondering, and I asked Andy Reid this, why was he? It seems like the the
Running with the
the
14th.
the depth chart is
Yeah.
is Clyde, it's Jerick McKinnon, and then you got Isaiah Pacheco, and then he's running with the four string guys. He played a little bit of minutes last week, but not very many for a guy that you want to. If you're going to release him, you want to at least showcase him or get
You're
something
right.
for him because you signed him. So. I'm wondering what their plan is for him.
What did he
He's
say? I
not.
mean, you
He
said you
did.
got.
He did. He just said, "Hey, everybody's been moving around." He gave the Andy Reid. Everyone's been moving around.
That's
Everyone's
Andy.
today he could be here. Tomorrow he could be here. He's played. He's been on the one. So
And obviously,
yeah,
we'll get a chance to see, when the game
yeah,
starts, and
yeah,
just about under a half hour,
yep.
we'll get a chance to see, the opportunities that these players get.
So I'm really like I guess there's a concern there that I have because what are you gonna do with them? You're not gonna keep four running backs, and then you have
Well, I
Derek
mean, but
Gore.
that's also the question that we have as it relates to the wide receivers. I
Hmm.
mean, we do. It seems like we do expect them to keep four tight ends.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
I mean,
I think Blake Bell's injury may be to where because they haven't really said what's going on with his hip. So I think if it's something serious, then I think that works in the Chiefs' favor to where they're able to slide him over on the pup list and then kind of still work with the three and have some wiggle room there. But you know, I because you're going to keep Noah Gray. I don't foresee you letting go Jody Fortson. Someone's going to snatch him up quick. And then of course you have Travis Kelce. So you got four tight ends, and then keep six wide receivers.
look, that's the key about the wide receivers because I think people think they might just keep four, if not five.
Nah, you got to keep six.
Well, I agree, and we'll get to that in a second. I do think they keep Fortson, if no reason why you can't teach height. Six
Hmm.
six tight end. I mean,
Hmm.
because you can still look. He came in as a wide receiver,
Right.
so it's not like he can't line up as a wide receiver if need be.
Exactly.
And 6'6" on the goal line area, you need that type of height to go up against anyone, especially hell if you decide you want to line him up against a smaller DB.
You do. And to me, Fortson, of course, he's coming off an injury, but I you don't give away that talent. You just don't. Someone who's been
Give
in
it
your
that damn
system,
height.
who's
He's still six
this
six.
is his fourth season. This is a contract year for him. He spent 2 seasons on, and then last season got injured. He
Yeah,
spent 2 seasons on the practice squad.
yeah.
So this is a contract year for him. It's either make or break, and I feel like he understands that. So he's gonna try to give you everything that he has.
Also contract year for McCole Hardman. But
Hmm.
look, we talking move over to the wide receivers. Last week I think we talked about how they might keep five or six or whatever.
Hmm.
But I think one of the big questions that I was thinking of, who are those well, we know they're gonna keep Sky Moore, we know they're gonna keep McCole, we know they're gonna keep MVS, we know they're gonna keep Juju. Now, are we looking at more so when I look at this Chiefs offense? Are we looking more so that they are also going to keep uh, uh, Darius Fountain or Josh Gordon, or how do we think that that's gonna end up? Justin Watson or Cornell Powell or what?
My
Because they got a
six
slew of receivers.
my
And,
six would be you got it. You get you of course you know who you're gonna have. You're gonna keep MVS. You're gonna keep McCole. You're gonna keep Juju, Sky Moore. That's what. That's five. Um, or no, that's four. So then I would say you go with Justin Watson, and then it's a toss up between. I think Josh Gordon's done. I really do. I don't. Just from what he's shown last game and then what he's shown in practice, I don't feel like I just don't see it. It'd be a surprise to me if you don't keep Darius Fountain. I think Fountain's the guy that you're going to keep with along with Watson. I think Cornell Powell's done no matter what he's shown. He's played very well to me in practice and then in the game last week. But I think as far as Powell and Josh Gordon, they're both done.
damn.
You're a
I was
Josh
really,
Gordon guy.
I was really, really high on Josh. Just because, I mean, just because of all that he's gone through, and finally getting a chance to get a full camp underneath him, along with the playbook and working. And the fact that a the expectations for him
Hmm.
not having to be the number one wide receiver,
Right.
being the key to where he doesn't feel like he has the pressure where he might relapse or something. I don't know. I'm pulling for him now. Even if he doesn't make it, can't say I'm hoping that somebody brings him on, but doesn't look to have him as their number one option. I think as long as he's not the number one option, he
He
can
ain't it.
contribute.
He's not.
I mean, hey, the way you're sounding, I might just have to
Yeah.
might have to kind of agree.
I
But
mean,
but look,
do you want to have a guy that is on his he has more years behind him than he does in front of him, or do you
oh
want to have a young
no,
guy that's strong that you could possibly coach up?
no, I get you there. So okay, but again, you go with Watson, and Justin did look good last week, so
Yeah.
taking nothing away from him. So
And that's another guy that's coming from that Tom Brady in Tampa Bay last year.
yeah,
So, I mean, he's a guy that understands winning and has seen, at least been around to be a sponge to soak up some kind of knowledge from a veteran who knows, what they're doing.
so you're not convinced Powell can make the team?
It's gonna be a straight. Who is he gonna? Who is he gonna?
Man, I don't know.
Do you,
That's
do
a
you?
that's the toughest part,
But
man.
do you?
Shout out to
It would
Dana
be
Hughes.
it would be between Doris Fountain and Cornell Powell. I would go with Fountain. I mean, that's just me from what I've seen.
Well,
I'm going off the eye
I will
test.
say this: we will get a chance to see in
Hmm.
today's game to see
Well,
what type of again, and that's the beauty of preseason. You get a chance to, players will get more reps than they normally would,
hmm.
obviously for the regular season. Those who are trying to make the team, and if not, put something on tape that your agent can ship out to other teams.
Yeah, of course.
Because we saw what happened with Demarcus Robinson. He got signed by the Raiders in the offseason. Somehow, some way, he got cut
Hmm.
just last week, and then signed on with the Baltimore
It's
Ravens.
funny that you bring him up because he's a guy that he has a good resume.
Yeah,
Doesn't get in trouble. He's
but he
been
also has stuff on film too.
yeah,
That it works in both ways.
but this is something you can't teach. He has 4 AFC championships where he's been in,
Yeah,
and been a starter.
2 Super Bowls.
He's
Yep,
2 Super Bowls where he's been a starter
in a ring.
in a ring, and so he's been behind an MVP quarterback. So you can't coach that. You need that type of guy in your locker room.
Do you want to take a timeout, or do you, or
I mean, we can keep
where we
this
want
is
to
good.
go?
I'm
Okay,
this is getting
got you.
good. I'm
All right,
ready.
well, I'll let you Tolo with something else. What else we got?
I mean, I really want to talk about we talked a little bit about the defense, but as a whole, defensive backs, Joshua Williams, a guy that's young, coming from an HBCU. What do
Shout out
you yeah,
HBCUs.
what are you seeing from him? Because I think he's going to be, and Steve Spagnuolo called these guys the Fab Five, where you look at where you look at these the young guys on that secondary. What are you seeing from the secondary?
Well, first of all, look, man, when it comes to Williams and me being an HBCU product as well, I love the fact that one, the Chiefs took a chance on him,
Hmm.
but also he's paying dividends. This is this is look the biggest thing that I always try to have people understand when it comes to the Chiefs and how they play the young players is that one, you got to understand how Brett Veach is and how he operates. And that's
Yeah.
why I always say when it comes to players getting contracts, I know you and I were going back and forth last year. I was like, I just don't see them signing Tyrann Matthew because if they hadn't done it already, I just don't see them doing it.
Hmm.
One of the things I've come to understand about how Brett operates is that he is going to pay Patrick. He's going to pay the veterans that he's done. Obviously, Travis Kelce as well. As long as Kelsey's healthy, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's just that's QB 15's lifeline. You're not going to do anything with him, so you're going to pay him. But what they do is they like to draft young and also get the most value out of them. And the
Yeah.
way you can do it is by being able to play them.
Yeah.
And so um, I've always had a concern where in the AFC West that they were too small at the corners going up against a Mike Williams or some of these other wide receivers who are 6'3", 6'4", and damn it, and here you go with the with cornerbacks that are
Hmm.
5'10", 5'11", like yo, what's going
Exactly.
on when you just throw the ball up, and they can it's a jump ball situation. I like the fact that they went taller this year. They, again, Trent McDuffie being what it is, but I do like the fact that you got players that, and I also think that they're interchangeable too. Even though they have them at corners in Spags the system, I still see where he could line some of them up at a safety if need be. And so obviously you bring in Justin Reed from Houston, Juan Thornhill with that experience. I'm telling you, man, just the fact that you're able to interact, intersect, and mingle with these rookies, with these veterans, is
Hmm.
going to pay dividend because again, what you want to see is how they react to live action. And the only I've never been a big proponent, even Patrick's rookie year, where you somehow learn by holding a clip on the sideline. I've
Nah.
the only way you're going to learn is by being in there again, making
Sink or
mistakes.
swim.
Yeah, you sink or swim. I mean, and just say you're going to make mistakes. It's the NFL.
Yeah, of
You're going to
course.
get burnt. You're going to get interception. The key is not repeating it and not allowing it to happen. And how do you come back from it? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm very interested to see how this defensive back crew is going to do.
And you talk about Brett Beach. One of the things that I kind of gathered from him as well, just seeing him these past few years, is the fact that he's you- looking at the past. I'm back up for a minute. Looking at the past, we've seen the Chiefs pay guys like Tom Bahali,
Yeah.
pay guys like Justin Houston, give Eric Berry the money, even though
But that was Dorsey though
yeah,
versus
yeah, no,
versus
no, I
yeah,
know, I
okay,
know, I
okay.
know. I'm just saying, just
Yeah,
overall, the
yeah.
Chiefs as an organization, they pay guys and they've stayed around, kept them a little bit a year too long than they should have when they should have got rid of them, got
Versus the
some
New England
value.
Patriot, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think Brent Veach is the type of guy who is not afraid to revamp everything. We saw the offensive line. He did that. We saw the defense when they needed to do something and shake it up, and just like hey, hit or miss. We'll see where it goes.
But one of the things though that Brett has done though, and outside of I think Frank Clark was his first big signing.
Tyron was before Frank Clark.
I thought Frank was first, but
Yeah,
be that as may, Frank was the only one that I think got a 5-year contract. I think
hmm,
everybody else that he's gotten has done
yeah,
3-year deals,
yeah,
and so that's the other thing too, to where you don't lock yourself in to such a long-term deal to where you kind of damage the cap,
yeah.
obviously, and so that's what I see more so of him now.
Besides Patrick.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean Patrick,
Yeah,
he's an
yeah. Nah,
anomaly because you got
I
to do it
know.
for your quarterback.
I just messing with you.
But no, but to your point though, I mean that's what I see. The key is for the Chiefs, at least through Patrick's contract,
Hmm.
that you're going to see more 3-year deals. Which and Orlando might be a little bit different because you do want to have your blind side back, locked up for a number of years, which
Right.
I think is going to be important. But again, you can't do all that whole funny math stuff, giving them 2 years guarantee and then 4 years of fuzzy money. But I think out of those two, outside those two positions, I can see them doing 3-year deals. Maybe you do extensions you do extensions on top of Trey Smith and Orlando because again, just because they'll be there so long together that you probably want to keep that nucleus together. So I can see that with the offensive line,
Increase.
but skill
Yeah.
positions. Well, that's Humphreys and
Yeah.
Smith. But for your skill positions, I think that they'll like they did with MVS go to 3 year route, so you at least get 2 years guaranteed out of them,
Yeah.
and then you can that third year depending on what you do the first 2 years. Okay, am I getting enough value for them, or can I cut bait and just bring somebody else in?
I mean, the Patriots did it for, they still do it for a number of years. You see what you got, and then you let them go before they acquire that big money,
Or they want too much
or
money.
they want too much money. Yeah, and sometimes you get caught because it depends on your need and what you hit in the draft and things may work the way things work out. Of course, it's football, but for the most part, I mean, you may have a start like Tyreek Hill where it may not be the fan thing to do. They want to
See,
keep
but
him,
that's
but
the
you got to
that's
let
the
him go.
biggest question and concern that I have when we're looking at someone like a McCall Harmon because this is the last
Hmm.
year. Hold on, one,
On
two.
his rookie year, yeah,
This is year number 4, right?
four,
Okay, so
yep.
this is year number 4. So, so the question is, do they offer him extension, or because of what you got in Sky Moore, what you got in Watson, perhaps what you got in Ross when he comes back from
Hmm.
injury next year, do you go in a different direction? I mean, and then of course you can always still draft,
Yeah.
So I don't know. And of course you got MVS coming back, and depending on what Juju does, you might decide to give him a long-term deal.
And here's the thing too, you don't want to let guys go too soon. Meaning, Miko's still young. I mean,
Oh,
you
of
could you
course.
could you could possibly sign him and then eat up a little bit of the dead money that he would acquire. Say you sign him to another 3-year deal. You get him a lot of money on the front end. On the back end, it's kind of just whatever it is. You see what he does on the at the beginning of the contract, and then kind of go from there. But I think McCullough is going to be a guy that's like, hey, I need to get paid.
Hmm.
Just his temperament or whatever. But you know,
But
we'll see.
but the good thing is that he's kind of betting on himself, which he needs to do
Hmm.
anyway, based off of what he's done the last three
Hmm.
years. A good thing is he doesn't have to worry about special teams unless it's a
Yeah.
special need be. But by him betting on himself, he needs to perform.
And that's what we didn't talk about. To me, Tyreek Hill took off when they pulled him from punt return and
Yeah,
kickoff return. Now, don't get me wrong, I know he was great at it, but when he was just able to focus directly on
and be wide receiver number
be
one.
wide receiver, yeah, he that was his focus. Special teams takes a lot out of you, takes a
Oh,
lot out of your
I
body.
bet, I bet.
So yeah,
All right, so we're about to close out, but Steve, final thoughts as it relates to this game. Who wins? What's our final score? Because again, I thought the Chiefs were going to win last week, and
yeah.
they let us down on the road.
I mean, to me, I just wins, losses in preseason don't really matter. I just want to see the guys play well. Um,
Just
you
FYI,
want
I
to
didn't bet on this game, so I don't have
But
any investment on it.
you want to see what your offense is capable of against an opponent other than yourself. You're coming off a training camp. They've gotten some home cooking. I want to see how they come out and actually the first series. I want to see what they do. I really want to see what the wide receivers, how Patrick moves the ball around. Of course, it's going to be just a plain offense. However, I just want everything from what they learned in camp, what they learned when Patrick went down to Texas. I want to see how that works, and I also want to see what Isaiah Pacheco can do.
Yeah, I'm definitely look. I want to see more Sky Moore. Um, again, as I've already mentioned, I want to see Kennard. Obviously, Pacheco. Look, I think we're all high on him, so we definitely want to see what he's able to do in today's game. On the defense side of football, I want to see more Joshua Moore. I mean,
Yeah,
sorry,
sure.
Joshua Williams. I want to see him. And look, I like the fact when we talked about George last week is that he played like he's trying to make the team. He ain't
Yeah,
playing like first round draft. He's playing like he's trying to make the foot. So you're like, dude, it's preseason, but football is football. So
yeah.
that's what I like about him. And when we talk about his motor and his speed, I wasn't really convinced, but I'm leaning towards the convinced side as it relates to call off this. So before we get out of here, want to thank our sponsors, Gates Barbecue, also Todd's Clothiers and Taylor Shops for myself, and of course Dillard's with my man Steve Walls. My man looking good over here. So we do have opportunities for sponsorship opportunities, so be on the lookout for that and so much more. Steve, anything you want to?
No, I just go Chiefs. Have a good game.
All right, make sure you follow us on our respective platforms. We will bring you post game comments and post game sound from the podium, as well as locker room access with myself and Steve Wall. So until Thursday, we'll be back for a pregame cheat sheet. I'm Darren Smith, Steve Walls. We're out of here.